Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are officially back with college football today. Week 0 gets underway in just about an hour and a half with Iowa State and Kansas State kicking it off in Ireland, kicking off the college football regular season in Ireland. Outside of that, not a huge slate, but Iowa State, Kansas State, huge Big 12 implication, which obviously means that you're going to have some college football implications. So my goal, I'm going to try to do this regularly. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to try to do it throughout each week. Try to give my opinions on the bigger games of the week, the college football playoff impacts. The highest leverage games. Maybe it'll be Friday, Saturday mornings. We'll kind of see how it goes, but let's get into it. Like I said, Iowa State and Kansas State is your big game today. That's going to have playoff implications. I guess you could say slightly that Fresno State and Kansas could, with Kansas being the other team that might have a realistic shot of making the playoff here. But again, Big 12 is the conference that is getting the big swings today, starting with Iowa State and Kansas State. First, though, let's get into just my overview of the current playoff picture. You can have it there over at The Athletic. This is my current bracket as it stands right now. I wrote some articles, some takeaways heading into the season with Ohio State being the number one team. They are the best team in my model currently, slightly edging out Penn State. Could change obviously next week with their huge game against Texas. Penn State, though, gets the 3 seed despite being the second best team. Clemson gets the 2 seed. That is strictly because I think Clemson has the easier path to the a higher seed. I do not think Clemson's better, but with their schedule and how everything breaks down over the course of the year in Penn State's schedule, they get the nod as the second seed, and Notre Dame rounds out the top 4. Wrote about this, with the interesting thing being that the SEC, as you can see, has no team getting a first round bye. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen, but I think there's a clear path to Ohio State and Penn State maybe having no or one loss going into the Big Ten title game. Notre Dame in the same boat in the conference championship weekend. And I already mentioned that Clemson has a very good chance to get to a bye. And if all 4 of those teams get there with 0-1 loss, I don't. It's going to be tough because you look at the win totals for a lot of these teams, and Texas 9.5, Alabama 9.5, Georgia I think has the clearest path. I don't know. I need to see more from that offense for me to hop fully on board there. But the SEC is so strong that I think it's going to be difficult for them to have a couple like 11-1, 10-2 teams. And when you go outside of those big 3, the Alabama, Georgia, Texas, you get down to the LSU, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, you're getting into win totals that are 8.5, 7.5. So do think the conversation is going to come up. It's already come up a little bit here in the preseason with the committee possibly looking at strength of schedule different. It came up last year, with the Alabama SMU drama on the when the bracket was announced. If they change it, the SEC is going to be the big benefactor there if they do weigh strength of schedule more, because the middle of the conference is just so much better than any other conference out there right now. But until we see that, which won't be until November, it's kind of hard to predict there. I'm gonna have to be flexible with how the model works for there. So, but as you can see, Kansas State right now, the 11 seed, they're the Big 12 automatic bid for me. They are the conference favorite heading into the season. They also have the best chance, I think, from the conference to get in with an at-large bid. Texas Tech right behind them there, as you can see on the bubble. Pretty big game, though. Iowa State's another contender. I think the top 8, 9 teams in the Big 12 can win here. Iowa State further down the list than Kansas State for sure. But depending on who wins this game, you could see, I think Kansas State wins. I currently have their conference odds at about 20%. I think you can see their odds go up to about 25% or so. If they lose, I think you can see this go down to, like, their odds get cut in half or so, 10, 11%. Iowa State On the other hand, right now, sorry, I don't have the number ready, just under 10% to win the conference. They win, I think you can see that go up to like 16, 17%, kind of similar jump that Kansas State has if they win. And if they lose, then I think you're seeing that number get chopped pretty significantly. They have an uphill battle. You lose that first game, and now you got to claw your way back into the conference title race. So, just looking at the betting market, I make this game. My model makes this game Kansas State 3.5, 4. I did not bet it. Just week 0, I don't feel like getting super involved when it's not a huge edge. I thought we'd maybe see Kansas State get bumped out to a 3.5, but it's been kind of back and forth. Some interesting moves in the market here today, but I think we're settling on 3. I'd be definitely shocked if we went under 3, and a little shocked if we got to 3.5 here. Some early over money works this morning. We're maybe expecting some points as the total sits here at 51.5, maybe 52, depending where you're looking. But yeah, Kansas State I think is the better team. I think from a ceiling standpoint, with Avery Johnson at quarterback, I just think they have the highest ceiling of these two teams, and I think the highest ceiling of anybody in the conference. That's why my model is seeing them as the favorite, whereas the betting markets, they're kind of more of co-favorites. They're not being talked about a lot, though, which is kind of surprising to me. So their recruiting and roster construction hasn't been what I would want it to be over the last couple years if we're looking at it. Obviously Texas Tech is getting a bunch of praise in that conference, but again, I think they have the best quarterback. I think they have the high ceiling quarterback in the conference. They didn't push out Will Howard necessarily, like no sourcing or anything like that, but they did kind of choose Avery Johnson over Will Howard, just to kind of put in perspective of what I think the ceiling could be from Avery Johnson with Kansas State this year. So I do give the slight odds edge to Kansas State in this one, which again I think that puts them up into like the 26-27% range, 25% range to win the conference, and obviously that's going to boost their playoff odds too. If I had to guess, I didn't run it. I would say that probably pushes their playoff odds to 40 or so, just strictly they get that boost from they're not going to get a huge boost yet of getting an at-large bid for things to go down. Sam Houston State, Western Kentucky next on the board tonight, has no playoff implications at all. Don't know if I'm laying 10 points with Western Kentucky, but that's kind of where where the market sits at. That's where my model's about right now. I do think I gave this out in our staff picks. The under in this game is a little live. It was 61.5, 62 when I submitted those picks. Now down to 60.5 across the board. Circa the only one at 61. I do think the under has a little bit of edge there. Kansas and Fresno State. Kansas has got money here over the last couple days, up to a 2-touchdown favorite. I'm not super high on Kansas this year, but I do, if I had to bet a side there, if I had to take a side in the Sam Houston Western Kentucky game, I'd take Sam Houston at 10 at double digits. Anything below, no thanks. If I had to take something, definitely to get a 13.5 on Kansas, I'd do that. 14 on Kansas right now. I don't love it, but if I had to pick it, that's where I would go. Last game, Stanford, Hawaii. Power 4 team here with Stanford in the ACC, but I don't know what's going to happen under Frank Reich and the Stanford Cardinal this year. Andrew Luck is their GM. Going to Hawaii, they're 2.5-point underdogs. I think I've been waiting for this to get to 3 all week, and I would have been on top of Stanford. But they're just a mess right now. Super hard team to project going into the year. I think they have a wide range of outcomes. So anything Stanford is where I would want to go on this, but I'd want 3. not interested in 2.5. So those games are gonna have pretty much no impact on the playoff. Kansas losing, like you have to think about it this way: like Kansas losing, yes, they're pretty much out of an out-large bid then, unless they run the table. But if they run the table, they're probably gonna win the Big 12. They're pretty much Kansas's only path to the playoff right now is through winning the Big 12. Um, so yeah, these games outside of our Iowa State Kansas State game, we got nothing that's going to impact the playoff here. So as I wrap it up here, recapping just the playoff, the most likely bracket there over at The Athletic. Can check out all my content there. I think Ohio State, slight edge over Penn State heading into the season as the best team in my model, which gives them the nod for the number 1 overall seed right now. Clemson has an easier schedule, easier path to, 11, 12 wins than I think Penn State does. Just because there's a world where, I think Clemson has an easy path in the ACC title game. That's going to come down to where I don't think Penn State's going to have that in the Big 12 title game. But those two are very close in the 2-3 spot. Notre Dame rounds it out at the top 4. Pretty much has a 2-game schedule to kick off the start of the year with C.J. Carr as their quarterback. SEC going to have a tough road unless the committee changes how they look at strength of schedule. They are going to have a tough road to get a team in the bye, just because I think they're going to all beat up on each other. And like I said, outside of that Big 3, which 9.5, 10-2 is the most likely record for all of those teams. I think even 9-3 is probably more realistic than 11-1 in a lot of those simulations. You get down to the Texas A&M, the Ole Miss, even LSU, 8.5 win total. I think they have a good shot getting there. So it's just not there. Florida, South Carolina is another team. I didn't mention them. South Carolina 13th in like the AP poll. I think they're one of the more overrated teams heading into the season. Win total is 7.5, juice the under. That's how hard the SEC is going to be this year. And I don't know if it's a hot take, but I think there's a good chance that they don't get a bye this year. So bigger games next week, obviously huge. Ohio State, Texas, LSU, Clemson. I assume this bracket is going to be flipped on its head if we do another video here in about 2 weeks. So Iowa State, Kansas State, your big game. I give the edge to Kansas State here. I think they're the best team in the Big 12 as we head into the season. And that's going to be the big swing. If they lose, then the Big 12 even becomes more chaotic in what we should see be like a possible 8-9 team race as we head into the season. So thanks again for tuning in. That's about it. Pretty short here with a 4-game slate of FBS versus FBS games. Next week we get the official start going underway with week 1. Get the little teaser of week 0 here, but there will be a little tiny bit of college football playoff drama throughout the day-to-day in week 0. So thanks for tuning in. Until next time, I appreciate it. Check out my stuff over at The Athletic. Follow me on social media, AMOC419, pretty much every possible social media outlet there is. X, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, everything. And if like and subscribe to the YouTube channel here, that'd be greatly appreciated. Until next time, adios, enjoy, and best of luck in your week 0 viewing as we kick off our 2025 college football season.